wild to think that it has almost been 5 years since the tragic accident that took Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and the other 7 people on the helicopter with him. It's 2025 now. That was 2020. And obviously a moment where you always remember where you were, and it turned into a celebration of Kobe's life in so many different ways. We've found ways to honor him. Players on the court wearing his sneakers, his legacy continues to live on. So I guess my shout out is just to Kobe Bryant. There are too many memories that we could list and name here, but I will say the fact that it is January 22nd, 2025. Today is the 19th anniversary of him scoring 81 points. So shout out to me for getting a good night's rest, but also not shout out to me for going to sleep early and missing Kobe Bryant's 81-point performance. Because I remember turning that game on and saying, man, they're down 13 to the Raptors. I don't want to see this. Turning it off and waking up the next morning, hearing it on the radio, thinking that they were joking around the fact that he scored 81 points in the game. So on the anniversary of his 81-point performance, big shout out to Kobe. Shout out to Mamba.
Yeah, shout out to Mamba. And, I joked with Gil when we were talking about what we were going to do for shout outs and he brought up the Kobe anniversary. I joked with him that my favorite Kobe memory is when the Lakers lost to the Celtics in the 2008 NBA Finals. And I say that with a smile on my face. Obviously, I got nothing but respect and love for Kobe and everything he did for the game of basketball. My actual favorite Kobe Bryant memory was Mamba out. The last game that he played, scored 60 against the Utah Jazz. That is a night I'll never forget. I was in my college apartment with my roommates. Yep. Everybody was huddled around the TV because there was something else going on that night, and I'm sure you remember it.
Sure
did. You got it. You can say it. I don't know if we're going to give the listeners a second to see if they can remember what else was going on that night. What else was going on that night, G?
The 72-9 Warriors were taking on the Memphis Grizzlies in the season finale, and it's funny because you mentioned that I was in my college suite with my 3 roommates, and we had 2 TVs in the same dorm room. It was the jankiest setup, but kind of funny. They were both on like 2 dressers that were next to each other, and we had one TV on the Warriors game and one TV on the Kobe game. And again, this sounds silly in the moment, but the Kobe performance was so cool. We changed both TVs to Kobe's game and just watched it on both TVs. And I remember like watching that, like, and all of those shots he hit down the stretch, like it was legit like watching one of those sports movies that you're like, man, nobody goes out on this kind of note. Like, that's unrealistic. Nobody's going to score 60 in their final game and like hit this shot when they're driving right and lean in and boom. And like the lasting memory is like, when Jordan Clarkson and Julius Randle and D'Angelo, all the youngins kind of run in and he kind of holds them and brings them in. Like, for that to be his last moment on an NBA court as a player, for everything he gave to the game, everything he gave to the sport, couldn't think of a better way for him to put a bow on his career. So yeah, that's a great quote. There's plenty other ones that I can name, but that's a good one to end with for sure.
And it's funny that you say that because like I remember when we were like kind of like planning that, we're like, damn, big night in the NBA, like Kobe's last game, Warriors going for the record. Like I really feel like the intention was, okay, like we only had one TV going. So it was like, oh, we'll flip back and forth. Back and forth. The Warriors ended up like blowing out the Grizzlies. So you didn't really need to tune into that anyway. But like the Kobe game was so like, it just like drew you in. Yeah. And like, for those who don't remember, like Kobe wasn't really playing very good basketball at that point in his career. Like the games were ugly. The shots were ugly. Like he wasn't putting up points the way that he usually would. In that game, like it really just felt like it was like something had like overcome him. And like he got like a quick jolt of like that old Kobe. And like he was just knocking down every shot he took. And he got off to a slow start in that game too. And then all like a really slow start in that game. And then all of a sudden he started hitting everything. And safe to say the TV never went back to NBA TV. It just stayed on ESPN. We were watching the Kobe game. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. So that was my favorite Kobe moment. Just kind of like really taking that in of like, damn, man, like he is going to go out on top the way that he deserves, even if the team's not good. Like he's going to give us one more Kobe moment, put up a ridiculous amount of points, put up a ridiculous number of shots, and Mamba out.
Yeah, and one last note on that, too. It's easy to say, oh, man, the Jazz just let it happen. If I remember correctly, the Jazz, if they had won that game, would have made the playoffs. So the Jazz lost that game.
They were playing for something, yeah.
They were playing for something in that game and ended up picking a lottery that you don't even know who they took with that lottery pick. Might have been Trey Lyles. But they didn't make the playoffs because they lost that game. So it wasn't like he was just playing a team that was tanking and they weren't doing anything. Like he was playing a team. And like you said, after that rough start, after a tough stretch to end the season, for him to go out that way is the perfect way to do it. So glad we could spend a second or two just honoring Kobe, who again, like is just somebody who just permeates through everything that happens in NBA culture. He is part of the fabric of the NBA.